Hey everybody, I'm Jack Reedy with Future Pastimes. I'm a designer on the expansions for the Classic Dune board game, the 2019 edition from GaleForceNine. And GaleForceNine recently announced that they're going to be doing a Kwisatz Haderach edition of the Classic Dune board game as part of a game found for next year. They already have a preview page up, and I'll have a link to that in the description. And I wanted to use this video to look at some of the comments and to comment on some of those comments. This is not to be considered definitive answers because GaleForceNine hasn't made any decisions yet on the exact nature of what the Kwisatz Haderach edition will be. They haven't discussed it with us yet. That's something I think we'll be looking forward to in the coming months before the campaign happens. So we don't know yet if it's going to be a new edition, if there will be any rules changes, if there will be any art changes. We don't know anything about that. I'm just looking at the comments, and I'm going to be opining on what do I think of these comments, do I agree with them, and where I stand. So again, don't take anything I say in this video as an indication of what it's going to be. I'm just giving you my 2 cents on some of this. I will agree with a number of things that people are asking for or suggesting, and certainly disagreeing, and I wanted to give people a sense of where I stand on some of these comments. So we're going to take a look in here. I'm just going to go through these, and I won't necessarily comment on everything. Like, I don't know when they're going to do anything here about that or about language. So I'm not going to have any opinions about that. I hope that it will be in other languages, but that's going to depend on a lot of other things. I already own the base game and all the expansions. Can I please let me know if this means more of these? There's a number of people who ask questions about in the nature of, can I just get anything that's new without having to get everything? And I suspect that GaleForceNine will make that an available option. And I agree that would be great because there is going to be new stuff. There is a whole nother expansion that we have designed. It is a 4th expansion. And my suspicions are if you just want to get the new content, you will be able to get that. And if there is some kind of a storage solution, there may be a way for you to be able to get something that accommodates all of your current 2019 edition version of it all. So if there is a new version of anything, you don't necessarily have to get that if you've got all of the other stuffs here. So here's interesting. We have some suggestions. So rather than dialing in troops and dividing the amount not paid for by half, simply dial in the amount and bolster them. So there's a few people who have made some comments on here. This will fall into it if it's a new edition, if there are some rules changes. And I think looking at the combat system will definitely be on the menu if there is a change. And the idea of going from having basic and advanced to just one rule set is something I would like to see happen. We'll see. I've got my own ideas on how to deal with the elegance of basic, but adding in a little bit of the X factor with spice that you get from advanced. A small pouch or shelf on the dial. I don't think we're going to see any pouches or shelves. Maybe another dial within the dial that handles the spice. Maybe some other thing that helps it, makes it easier to have the cards in there. That might be worth looking at. Increasing the number of players to 9 or 10 or even 12. This, I don't really see that as being an official thing. Maybe boosting it up to 8. This is not something that happens very often. It's usually we couldn't get 6 people that were ready for an epic game of Dune. So this is a sort of an opposite. This is like a fantasy realm thing that I know that it exists, and I've played with a lot of players, but that is not the normal thing. Adding more players on the current map, it's just not practical. By and large, because it's 5 strongholds, you would have to have something like the shield wall stronghold rules in there, some other things in there like having the Ixians or having a Jacaranda thing. These exist already, and they do make it easier to add in some players on there. If you're talking about the crazy, let's get in the Southern Hemisphere board as well. That's certainly a possibility, but again, this is for a mainstream game. Trying to get up to 12 players is just not really a high priority. So we'll see about that. But again, if they're talking about doing some kind of a 3D map, extending that out to something that most people are not ever going to do this. They're not going to say, yeah, we're going to play a 12-player game of Dune. It's just not going to happen very often. Not enough to justify the expense. And would they go to the steps of saying, here, we've got this option where you can get an even bigger box that fits a second board for the handful of people that really want it and are willing to spend that much more money? I don't know. It just doesn't seem practical to me, but we'll see. Replace the current fighter tokens with stackable premium chips. I don't know about chips, but I do really like those stackable inserts that I recently get. I got those, and I did a video on there showing them off. They are pretty great. It does make those tokens bigger. So having these, you're really going to want to have a larger map, and so that's going to be something to look at. Is how easy it is to pair those things? Should they be together? But yeah, Polish version. Well, yeah, no, don't never give up the dream. Include Dune Conquest inside the box. I don't see that happening. And I don't think I'd want to. Again, the box would be absurdly big. I think they'll probably offer Dune Conquest as an add-on, and maybe like they did with their Firefly game found, where they offered Misbehavin' as an add-on. It came with exclusive extra cards. So I would love to see that, because now that we've all seen Dune Part 2, there's stuff in it that was not given to us as the designers to consider adding to the game. So there are a few more things that we would love to add to the game in an expansion that are not part of what maybe an already designed expansion. Cannot confirm nor deny, but I would love to see some other stuff. Same thing with Arrakis Dawn of the Fremen. I'd love to see them offer that as an add-on with some exclusive new content. So wish list, here we go. Keep all of the weird rules. Just codify them. Well, yeah, rule book. There's a lot of people asking about a rule book, and absolutely, I think that goes without saying. There will be a new and improved rule book. I think that one of the things that we will want to look at is, if there is a second edition, we still are going to want to revisit the previous edition, the current edition, and do a better rule book there. But that's, again, it's trying to figure out, all right, how much new stuff, how much change stuff. Keep paying spice for combat. Just double the number on heroes. I've seen this before. I do not like this idea. And then there's a lot of reasons why, which I'm not going to go into, but I don't see this happening, just because none of us on the design team like this idea, and we've looked at it, and we just found it to be absurd, and it has problems, and it becomes clunky. So not doing that. The amazing bizarre Kurama stuff. I think if it is a new edition, we're going to be looking at simplifying Kurama so that we're not having to put out a lengthy and complex chart of, does it affect this? Does it affect that? How does it affect this or that or the other? This could definitely be simplified. So still keep it weird, but maybe sanitize it a little bit. Yeah, the board, a couple of people, you're comparing the 1979 board is much more colorful. But I also found it to be distracting. And we got that same complaint on Arrakis. Why is the Arrakis board so boring? Well, it's boring. One, because the desert, by and large, is pretty boring. But more importantly, because it had all these different colors on there, you're putting all of the tokens on the board, it becomes very muddled. And we know this is true because Arrakis was based on the old Borderlands game from 1980-something. And it was redone by Fantasy Flight with a steampunk theme, and their board was very colorful, and it was awful. It was awful having just a very complex board with all the tokens. You could never keep track of stuff, and so it just doesn't work. It is better, I think, gameplay to have a very straightforward board. Now, I like the Dune Conquest board. It has a little bit more color, more presence, more of a 3D feel to it. I like it a little bit better than the 2019 edition of the board, which is a little flatter in terms of its aesthetic. But I do like it. You keep it simple. You don't need to have all these different shades of color because people assume that those mean something. And so I don't think we're going to be doing that. These are some comments on the comments. German, hopefully. I don't know what that is. Solo mode, no. We're not going to be doing a solo mode. There will not be a solo mode for Dune. It just is not practical. It would be a completely different game trying to do this solo mode because it is so social. It is so interactive. And I think what would be better would be like an app version of the game that you can play solo, that you can play by yourself with as many other AI players as you want, or something that you can play online with your friends, either having all of your friends fill in all those seats or have a mix of like, yeah, three of us are playing and we decided to do a 6P game with 3 bots. And this person here, Liquid Tempest agrees. Patroclo does not agree, but I'm on the, let's make that an app rather than a solo mode. And having gone through making a solo mode for the Adventures of Conan, I appreciate it a lot more. I'm not somebody who's a big fan of solo mode normally, but I liked what it added to the game. But that it's a much different game than Dune, and it lent itself better to it. But Dune just doesn't. Rulebooks streamlined, absolutely. Clarifications on advisors and Karama and all, and Truth Trance, absolutely. I think this should happen. If it is a new edition, these things will undergo some minor changes to make them much easier to understand and less likely to abuse. Reworking the Spacing Guild's default win, I agree with this as well. Treachery card that allows you to break an alliance? No, I do not like that. We do have the Sand Trout card, which wreaks enough havoc, I think, on alliances. But and we have the effect of the enemy of my enemy from Moritani, which lets them break an alliance, and the person that they want to form a new alliance with, and that is enough. I don't like seeing this get abused, so I don't see us doing anything there. Streamlining the combat, absolutely. Sideboard for 12 factions? No. Bigger spice tokens, perhaps. New factions, absolutely. I'd love to see some new factions. I hope it includes Spice Harvest and Duel. They've already kind of said that it does. So there you go. Balanced rule sets for 2 to 6 players and 6 plus. This, I think, is something that's worth looking at, is making it a better 2-player game. And I think we can do that. We did that with Dune Conquest. It is a good 2-player game. And one of the big things was blocking off one of the strongholds, so there's only 4 in a 2-player game. The Nexus cards also really make the odd-numbered player games much better. So yes, the leader ethnicities. I think that this is something that a lot of people have mentioned as well, and we've certainly strived to move more in that direction with the expansions. If they do an art overhaul, I think we'll definitely see this being much more accessible, much more representative of the entire fan base of Dune, which is international. More treachery cards? Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. There's already 50, not counting the ones from Richess. But we do have some stuff that is added in the expansion that kind of answered this mail here. So you'll see. Breaking a binding deal, that is not a good idea. And it's just a little bit edge casey. Skip a phase of the game. This is also something that doesn't really interest us. And I think it invites a lot of thorny rules issues, so I don't see that happening. Improved art, especially for the planet. The beige planet is very dull. Yeah, that's a reality in which I've talked about already. Streamline game mode that also shines with lesser player count, 2 to 4. So yeah, kind of already talked about it a little bit. All additional houses and factions included in base map. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, I think, if they're doing, if it's going to be a new version of the game, all of the factions will get an overhaul. High quality tokens, absolutely. Extended rule book. Well, I'm hoping for there to not be an advanced game, just the game. Art quality improvements. This is a long diatribe, but yeah, I mean, comparing the Avalon Hill, both of these art approaches have their pluses and their minuses. There's some really interesting and iconic art in the original Avalon Hill version. I wasn't a fan of the leader discs are all black and white, whereas a lot of the rest of the game was in color. You had the leaders on the shields were in color, but the discs were black and white. I liked the style of the art, but I would have liked to have been more consistent. And with the GaleForceNine, you've got you've got to color leaders, but then the treachery cards have this silhouette style, which I've grown to enjoy and appreciate. But I think if there was an overall, I'd like it to be a little bit more, a little flashier. Advanced battle, we mess up the calculations. I feel for you, so I think we want to fix that. So map stuff, so Imperial Basin indications. I think the same thing is true with where do the Fremen are they allowed to get in. So on TTS we have that, and on my physical playmats that I've made, those markings are much clearer. So I think we will definitely want to do that. A box large enough to fit future content. I think the box for the Kwisatz Haderach edition is going to be all content. I don't think there's going to be any future content after this. I'd love to see some more, but I can see them saying, no, this is good. This is plenty. So force plastic disc backing. So those are the inserts, and I think we want those to stack. Let's see, tech tokens for each faction. This I do not agree with. I don't like the idea of tech tokens for each faction. And in fact, I've been playing with 5 tech tokens in a game, and that already is in. It's inserting some fiddliness in the game, and it is really making the games end very early. Turns 2 and 3 much more regularly. When you have more than 3 tech tokens. Now, I'm still kind of like, all right, maybe we will go 5 tech tokens. But I'm wondering if there needs to be some other sort of thing in there. It's something I want to look at here over the next year as we continue to playtest stuff. But tech tokens for each faction is just, it's chaotic. It's really not a good time. And even the idea of saying, hey, here are 12 or potentially more different tech token ideas, and you're going to choose some at random, that I would be more interested in. But even some of like the fan-made ones, some of them are a little bit sketchy, and I don't really understand where they're coming from with that technology. More of a technology and industry thing. Maybe that would be a better way to think about it. But like I said, the idea of even having 5, that means that in a 6-player game, everyone's got a tech token to start with except for one faction. It's so much easier to get 3 tech tokens, and too easy, I think. And so even with like the Bene Gesserit being able to avoid getting into fights, it's really, it's going too far, I think. Karama explanation cards, certainly I think I want to simplify Karama. But if there is no changes, it's just Kwisatz Haderach edition is just, it's mostly just a box and better components, and that's really all there is, then yes, I think we're going to definitely want to have that as streamlined and easy reference. And I've done a number of reference things that I've done videos on, and other people have done as well. Rule book, spice slot on the wheels. I think we just want like a little wheel within wheel. Different colors for spice values. They already kind of do that. I'm not sure what that's messing up the slots. Highlighted status, an overplay piece of that's the map. The line for the Fremen. Bigger, nicer, more Tani and ECAS tokens. Well, I think the ones I got are fine, but yeah, I think we want to have some deluxe ones like the ones I've done a video on. Standardized seats color imagery for HMS and Jacurutu, maybe. The pointy nature of the HMS is good. They want to do this with the high rig and smuggler tokens. I don't think those need to have little pointers. They fit into those territories that we chose for them pretty well. I don't think we need to have an arrow pointing at them as well. More functional shields. I think the shields definitely could be a little bit better. I've got the little shield holders, which I think are pretty good. So we might do something like that. If they're doing a deluxe edition, they might do an even fancier shield. But I think the shields could have more than the little quick strategy tips. They could have some information on the outside about the leader strength for your leader pool. So that's a reference that other players can use, and some other stuff on there. I think we'll be having separated Karama card. Yeah, I'm going to push for that. I've got the Karama is one effect and Solaris is the other effects. Some changes to Poison Blade and Shield Snooper. We've been playing with my proposed changes, and I do like those a little bit better. So we'll keep playing around with those. Move the faction spaces so they don't block the storm. Absolutely. I think we can make that bigger. Text for the phases on the board and clear imagery. We can look at that. Avoid the picture style of Dune Imperium. Well, it's not pictures. That's art in Dune Imperium. Dune Conquest has photos, and we will not be going to photos. It just doesn't work because half of the leaders don't exist. We'd have to go hire actors or some weird thing. I don't see them doing that. But the art style of Dune Imperium, modeled after the movie, possibly. The art style for Arrakis, Dawn of the Fremen, is modeled after the movie. It doesn't feature anybody from the movie because it takes place 1,000 years beforehand. Actually, probably more like 10,000 years. Too many plastic minis. We'll see some. I don't want 3D. Somebody wants 3D figures. I know, like Jay, who was at Gen Con while I was there the last time I was there. He's got all these great things, but I don't prefer that. I think it makes the board a little bit crowded and it's hard. The stackable inserts is really the way to go. Making all of our old stuff redundant. This is going to be a thing that I think one of the reasons why I think GaleForceNine will say, here's all the new stuff in the old style, and I will advocate for them to do that. If they do decide to say, hey, we're redoing all of the art direction, or we're doing a new edition of Dune. I know there's going to be people who are like, oh, I've bought all the old stuff and now you've redone it, and it is what it is. I definitely want to see a new edition of Dune, which is why I will push for that. New art, new rules, not a radical change. We're going to keep a lot of the weird stuff, but combat some faction things, Karama, True Trance, some other areas that have kind of taken on a life of their own and have drifted far from the original design intent. Curious to see what they do to fancy it up. Like a 3D. Not going to do that. Option to get only the updated. I think they will do that. Is this just a reprint? Not really. I don't think so. I love this game, but it's hard to find 5 or more players to enjoy it maximum. Try finding 11 more players. But no, there will not be a solo mode. I can definitively tell you that. It won't be anybody in Future Pastimes working on it. And I defy GaleForceNine to find a team that can put together a good solo mode. It would be much better served just doing an app. Automate faction. So I played Dune with an automated guild faction, and I found it to be tedious and it just time-consuming, and I did not enjoy that experience at all. I was like, you know what? I would much rather just play 5 players than have this automated faction. It's really not a good time. So I don't see us doing anything like that. A solo, no. A co-op variant. Well, form an alliance. That's as good as it's going to get. I don't see a game. I don't see us playing Dune where all 6 of us are on the same team. Now, if they did a thing where we want to do a God Emperor version of Dune, and everybody is against the God Emperor, and maybe the God Emperor could be automated, but that's the only way I could see that happening. Should I buy the 2019 edition? I'd actually say, if you're thinking about this and it's been a couple of months, but I would say wait. I would say wait and see what they're going to do. It's going to be several months yet. Find some other people who have the Dune current edition and play with them. But I think that this Kwisatz Haderach edition, my intention is to just advocate for GaleForceNine to go, this is going to be the new definitive edition. It's going to be outstanding. It's going to be consistent, single rule set, improved in every way, and deluxe components. And so I think that's probably what you're going to want in the long run. But other people disagree. Certainly, I'm sure GaleForceNine would love for you to get the old one and the new one. I don't think they would say that, but that's how it is. Provide a way for people who already have the game to just get the new stuff. Yeah, I think that they will want to do that. House Ordos, no. But send your letters to the Herbert estate. They are the ones that don't want House Ordos to be a thing. I personally would love to do a House Ordos faction. I think it would be a fun way to honor some of the history of Dune fandom and Dune gaming. So this was a real thing. It was a thing as part of the Dune video games from 20 years ago. And so I know it's not, strictly speaking, a canon faction, but the Dune universe is quite large, and so it's easy to imagine there. It would be fun to have that in there. So updates on the art, just take my money. I'm sure that they will be happy to do that. Simplify advanced combat. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. I don't want realistic illustrations. Well, agree to disagree. Streamline rule set, sure. Modern illustrations, we're looking at poker chips, sort of. Game trays for spice, yeah. I think they're going to do something like the Calcared storage solution that you pulling stuff out and it's usable. And they did that with Arrakis, so they got a big storage solution for the tokens in there. And you just pull that whole thing out and you leave the tokens in till you need the stuff. And so I think they will want to do something like that, spice in particular. Detailed rules, 2 and 3 player games, yeah, sort of, yeah, sure. Acrylic spice tokens, yeah, man, something maybe, we'll see. Initially upset that my old edition will be obsolete. Yes, join us. The new edition will be better, I hope. Sleeves, yeah, I'm sure they will do sleeves. I guess you're not really asking about this, but yes, your investment may be obsolete. It just depends on if you really want the new stuff, which I hope you will. I hope it will be so good that you'll be like, oh, I got to get it. Everything that's been previously released for Dune, Spice Harvest and Duel, we've kind of talked about that a little bit. Custom editions, Jack Rita, that's me, has made the Karama cards. Yeah, I mean, we're going to definitely want to do something like that. Solo mode, no. Looking to cash in and what the movie, we would be doing this without the movie. I think the movie is a nice accelerant for doing it. But yeah, GaleForceNine just wants, these guys are gamers at heart. They want a great edition of Dune as well. All right. Miniatures edition. I don't know what that... like the other guys said, new art for the characters. Yeah, we'll look at that. Neoprene mat in French. Hopefully... in multiple languages, not just French. Release it in Brazil. Yeah, I hope so. For a deluxe, I would like to see inserts for sleeved cards. Yeah, I think they'll do. They've been learning over the last several years that they've got to fit sleeved cards. For those who do it, I don't sleeve, but I know I'm in the miniature. House dials. I don't think they're going to want to do 12 to 15 dials. I think it'll just be the 2 dials. So we'll see about that. Please focus efforts on rulebook. Yes. Singular vision how to play. I agree. Poker chips for units. Not exactly poker chips, but I understand what you're saying. This is a remake of the 79. Isn't it a faithful recreation? Yeah, I'm not sure what the questions are here. Probably already did. Will the expansion sets and everything else available as add-ons? I'm sure that they'll have all this stuff as add-ons, but again, a lot of it will depend on whether or not they are doing a new edition. If they do, they probably will have the solution where you can get everything, or you can say, I just want the base game, and maybe I'll add in expansion 3 or what have you, or I want to add in these 2 factions and these 3 variants as a possibility. Will they also sell the current edition stuff? That is, I think, a possibility. We'll see. I think it would make sense for them to do that. If you're like, oh, you know what, I just want the new stuff. Like, I've got expansion 1 and 2. I just want to add in 3 and the new stuff. And so they might do that. Modern artwork. Yeah. Battle dials for all factions. I'd love to see that as well. We have that in TTS, but it's not practical. And there's really no good reason to do it. Better translations or more translations. A form of a video. I'm not going to watch that. Not right now. We're getting down to the bottom here. Retrained version of the board. I'm not sure what retrained is. Magnetic. I don't know what they're talking about here. Pledge level for all the games. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I think GaleForceNine, they want to launch it early in 2025 and deliver in 2025, but we'll see. For me, the worst game in the expansions, I'm going to skip that because I obviously don't agree with that crap. Official 2-player variant. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we're getting down to the end. I'll see if there's anything else. Some stuff from Rex. I've seen some of these other things, and it might be interesting as an add-on. Some of the betrayal stuff and the objective things, I think it's an interesting idea. So I wouldn't mind seeing these as add-ons. I don't know that they would be like, yeah, this is all part of the game, but yeah, doing something like that might be fun. Unified rulebook, spice wheel to the battle plan. Yeah, I want to do something like that. We only have 3 players. Yeah, go find some more players. But yeah, you can play it with 3, and the original designers would tell you that. Rulebook, yeah. 4-player game. It is already a good 4-player game. No, there will not be a solo mode. All right. Oh, here we go. This could be really nice. This is not really questions. It is an expansion, but also a newer version. It's everything. That's everything you want. I'm probably towards the end here because a lot of people are suggesting the same thing. This one's in French. Can't help you there. Fancy Pants Edition. Yeah, I'm not going to do minis, but oh, mon Dieu. 3D printable battle wheel. I've seen that. I don't necessarily think we need that, but I think I would like to see some improvements to the battle wheel, and I've been playing around with some ideas there. All right, that is it. I think, I could certainly do another one of these if people want me to. It's only halfway through 2024, so we've got half a year before this can even conceivably launch, and so there's plenty of time for more people to follow and to make their own comments, and absolutely make your suggestions. Definitely do it here. GaleForceNine does read these, and they do occasionally respond, and they will be responding more as we get closer to it. But you can also comment on this video, and I'll certainly give you my opinion, and I want to hear what everyone else wants and hopes, and make your argument. If you don't agree with where I'm going, don't start on solo mode. We're just not doing it. It's just not. It would be terrible. It would be terrible and tedious, and nobody would want it. Much rather have a nice app. Treachery Online exists now. It is basically an online app where you can play solo. It's pretty well done, and I think an official app could be even better, and might even have some exclusive content. Who knows? That's what I want to see, and so we'll see how it plays out. That's it for this one, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.